Welcome to Food All You Never Wanted to Know. Today, I'm going to learn how to make 4 times the yogurt for the price of 1. This is a very simple recipe, but it does take a little bit of time and a lot of patience. I have 4 quart jars here. It's, I know, I'm not exactly the same. I poured milk in there. I used 1% for this batch. You could use whatever milk you'd like. You could use whole milk, you could use skim, whatever. Now, one way that you can make sure that your yogurt is a little bit thicker is to add some powdered milk to each of these jars. Okay, I'm using about a quarter cup. No, this isn't a quarter cup. Sorry, this is my 1/8 teaspoon, so I'm gonna have to double these. You can use up to a 1/2 cup, I think. Let's see. So I'm gonna get the powdered milk in here. You don't have to do this. As a matter of fact, the last couple times I made yogurt, I actually forgot, and it was fine. It was fine. It was just a little bit thinner. Okay. And then you mix it up. This is just a random old whisk I've got here. You whisk each one up really, really well. And then we'll get to the next step. The next step, you take a nice tall pot, and I take a dishcloth and put it on the bottom of the pot in the water, because that prevents the jars from clunking around and maybe possibly breaking. So I'm hoping I can fit 4 in here. I think I've done that before. If not, oh boy. Anyway, so I think they'll fit. The trick is, and you don't have to do 4. You could do 1 at a time. You could do 1 quart at a time, because these are basically each a quart. You want the water to come up maybe 3/4 to 2/3, 2/3 to 3/4 up the sides of these jars. And I'm going to turn on the heat, let this heat up, and we're going to want this to get to the milk temperature of 180 to 185, and I use a meat thermometer because and when I test it, I stick it in there and I get the temperature. And right now, obviously, it's out of the refrigerator. It's about 70 degrees. It'll take a little while for this to go, and I usually take a spoon and I stir it, or I can use the same whisk that I used before. I stir it once in a while during this process until they're up to temperature. This is what I'm doing in between waiting for for it to cool down. To heat up. Oh my goodness, sorry, my hand's in the way. Getting the plants out in the greenhouse. I'm stirring it one more time. I'm in between taking the plants to the greenhouse. Let's see if it's up to temperature yet. You may not be able to see this because it's getting pretty steamy. Okay, that's up to 160. There we go. 180, and I think they're probably all the same. Let me just check. Now, some people say you don't need to do this because, most milk that you buy is pasteurized already, but I don't want to take any chances with this because you don't want any bad bacteria growing in your yogurt. So this is a handy dandy little tool. If you don't have this, you'll have to manufacture a way to get this out without burning yourself. Now on the counter there, very, very, very important, never put a hot jar on a cold counter. So put a towel underneath and hold this nice and tight as you lift it out, because these are heavy. Okay. I like the wide mouth jars when I make yogurt, but I only had 3 that weren't full. So here's a regular mouth jar. Okay. Now, one thing I didn't mention is when these were heating, I covered it with a screen just in case there might be a fly in the house or something to protect it from getting into the milk. So we're gonna put these a little bit close together and cover it again. There we go. And sometimes you can put something on top to make sure it doesn't fall away. Okay, we're going to leave this for a while. I need to get it down to 110 to 120 degrees before I put the culture in. Now the culture, this is the first time I've tried my homemade yogurt as a culture, so we'll see how that goes. Now we're rechecking. This is actually an hour and a half after I took them out of the pot. So it looks like it's about 110, maybe 12. That's about perfect. Needs to be between 110 and 120. Now this next part is very simple. Here is plain yogurt. This is some of the plain yogurt that I actually made last time around, but you can use store yogurt as long as you're absolutely sure it has live cultures. Has to have live cultures or it will not work. So I'll just show one of these, and basically you put it in there and you just stir it around. You want to distribute it evenly among the quart jar. Trying not to make noise. Too much clatter, I know it picks up on the mic. So anyway, so you mix that around real well. Then you, whoops, this is the smaller lid. Then you lid it, but don't crank it tight. Make it sort of loose. Then what I do normally, you could do this many other ways. Some people use a food dehydrator. I actually have a food dehydrator that claims you can use it for yogurt, but this is so easy, and it's not using electricity all day. So put that in there. I'm going to put all the other jars in there, and I also put in, this is a half-gallon jar, but as many small or big jars as you need. This is the hottest water that I could get out of the spigot. So I put those in there. And I'll put the other jars in there and maybe another jar of water. Then I'll cover it up and close it. And if you're only doing one jar, you can use a very small cooler. And then throughout the next 8 or so hours, 8 or 12 hours, just keep an eye on it. If the jars cool down too much, rejuvenate the jars with hot water. And you can reuse the water to water your plants or whatever. So we'll be back in a little bit. Well, it's going to be several hours. As you can see, I did lots of things while this was going on. You don't have to babysit this. You do a part of it, you go do your thing, and you come back, you check the temperature, you go back and do your thing again. And now, since it's going to be 8, 10, 12 hours, I don't have to babysit this at all. I can go about the rest of my day. Welcome back. Here are the 4 jars, and let's take a look. All right, it looks like they set. Now, you see there is a little bit of clear liquid on top. That's fine. It will go into the yogurt as time goes, or you could pour it off if you'd like, but it's not bad at all. Anyway, see how this has set? It's like pudding. Now it's still warm, but you can see that is yogurt. And if you put it in the refrigerator, it will thicken up a little more. And I'm going to taste this. This was 8.5 hours. You can go from 8 to 12, however you like it. The longer you culture it, the more tart it will get. That's good. It's milder than what you get at the store. You can add whatever you'd like to it. You can use it in smoothies. You could add a little bit of jam if you want it fruity sweet, or bananas or whatever. Try this. It's so easy. You can do it. Take care. This is food, all you never wanted to know.